Hello everyone, welcome to lecture number 3 of Introduction to Management, Principles of Management. So in today's lecture we will be talking about the task forces which are included in the external environmental factors. Along with that we will be studying the internal environment, factors of internal environment, as well as Porter's 5 forces model. I'll be explaining you the assignment later on. Okay. So what did we study in the last lecture? We talked about the external environment and the factors affecting the external environment of an organization. We talked about the general factors affecting the external environment, including the five factors, which are socio-cultural factors, technological factors, economic factors, as well as political factors, which affect a company from the outside, basically, right? So those were the general environmental factors. Now coming on to the task environment factors, they are the task related factors from outside the organization. The task environmental factors immediately affect the organization on a short-term level, on a short-term basis. So there is a famous model in order to understand the task environment factors, which is very important. It is called the Porter's 5 forces model. It includes 5 factors affecting the environment. The 5 factors are bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, rivals, and the customers. So we'll be studying each and every factor separately, which will make it easier for you guys to understand. So the first factor of Porter's 5 forces model is customer. Customer is always right, just remember that. What companies have to keep in mind related to their customers is that in comparison to your competitors in the industry, you have to make sure that your customers are loyal to you, because whenever a customer has more option and you are not entertaining your customers the way they want to, they'll shift. If your competitor is strong, the customers, they'll shift. The competitor is giving better opportunity to the customers, they are giving better package to the customer related to the product, customer will shift, right? For example, if we look at the mobile industry, right? What happened, sorry, if we look at the mobile industry, telephone industry, what happened earlier was that people were buying telephones based on the nature that it has to be updated, it has to be technologically enhanced, it has to have all the features, good camera, battery timings, like everything. Yeah, so companies were competing on that level, on that base. Each and every advertisement was based on, yes, our mobile is offering this and this feature and this improved feature and this improved feature. But nowadays, if you look at television advertisement, the mobile industry is shifting from technology to price. Now they are competing on the basis of price. They are saying that we are offering better price to you as compared to the good feature. They are separate because they are available for everyone, and in every mobile, every feature is available, right? The latest features are available in China mobile. So now the mobiles are competing on the basis of their price. Who's offering best price with technology, people are gonna buy that. While there are some customers who are loyal to one brand, for example through Samsung to Apple, they are not going to go for any other option because they are loyal customers. Loyal customers are not our headache. We can offer them. I'm talking in terms of I'm taking myself as a brand manager, maybe, yeah. So they are not our headache, they are loyal customers. We have to just keep them in our mind that they are very loyal to us, so we have to keep them in our mind and we have to take care of them. We have to maybe offer them a good service, we have to offer them something extra, some extra package, some customer card, some any greeting for the loyal customer. But yeah, for the new competition, we have to be improved, enhanced as compared to our competitors. Yeah, these are the tasks. New entrants, along with the existing companies, we have to keep in mind the risk of new entrants in the industry. We have to, before launching a product, we have to make that thing sure that what are the entry barriers in this specific industry. If we are launching a product in the industry, how many around us can launch the same product in the industry, right? For example, if I am launching for instance, I am launching a hand sanitizer in the industry, keeping in mind um, to today's situation. If I'm introducing hand sanitizer in the industry, I have to keep that in mind that many people around me who are like me have the same idea and will launch a sanitizer in my competition with maybe better price, better product, better packaging. So how can I compete them? Yeah, if there's a because if there are 10 people selling the same sanitizer, the profit margin would be less because customers would have more option. Yeah, and the switching cost is easier for the customers. They'll go for Dettol instead of Safeguard because they know that it's the same product, it's offering the same services. But yeah, if Safeguard is easily available and it's offering better price, then they'll shift from Dettol to Safeguard. So Dettol has to keep that in mind, that in case of Safeguard or any other new hand soap or sanitizer in the market, what I need to do, how can I be different from them? Yeah, how can I offer something different to the customer so they don't shift from Dettol to any new brand? Substitutes. Substitute mean it's not a new product, it's a substitute for the existing product. Yeah, opting for another mean to satisfy customers. Pepsi and Coke is the greatest example of all the times, right? Alternate product. If Coke is not available, go for Pepsi, right? If Pepsi is not available, go for Coke. The people who are loyal to Coke and will not find Coke will definitely shift to Pepsi because they have no option. But in terms of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, we have no more substitutes. So there are two substitutes of each other. So the sales are not, the profit margin is not so much lower as compared to other products, like in terms of hand soap, sanitizers. We have many options. So we can easily substitute one product for the other. Yeah. So you have to keep in mind that what are your substitutes, how can other brands compete with you based on their substitutes. How can Pepsi, by increasing their supply, Pepsi is available like everywhere, wherever you go in Pakistan we have Pepsi, but Coca-Cola's availability is not that good. It's only available at some places, at some specific shop maybe. So on the basis of availability, the profit margin of Pepsi is way much higher as compared to Coke because of their availability. But they are both substitutes for each other. If we don't have Pepsi, we will go for Coke. Yeah. Then comes the customers. Customer is your god in terms of brands, right? So customers power is very important. So customers have to be loyal to you, they have to choose you over everything. For example, if I talk about myself, I'll not go for Pepsi if I don't find Coke. It's very hard for me to accept or digest the factor that I can't have a Coke, but it would be like I'm cheating on Coke and having a Pepsi. I'm not a Pepsi person, so that is my loyalty with Coke. I have the power to select, I have the power to choose. So Pepsi maybe has to impress me out of the way to make me their customer. I don't just like it. So companies have an edge to capture their customers based on their features, based on their products. Coca-Cola should give me a loyalty card maybe because I'm loyal to them. Yeah, so companies have to keep in mind their loyal customers, their customer base, their target customers. This customer is always right. Then comes the suppliers. If you are out of a supplier, how you are going to survive? For example, the fuel supplier. The if So if a plane is out of fuel and the supplier is you are not in good terms with the supplier, then what are you going to do? How are you going to fly? So the supplier relationship, supplier management is another subject in management. So if you are not good with the supplier, you are going to die. For example, we're talking about the chicken industry, Menu, KNNs, they all have suppliers. They all buy products from local farms, chicken farms, yeah, local control sheds from which they buy the product, and then they make their specified chicken and sell it to the market. What if the chicken supplier doesn't supply its chicken to Menu? What is going to happen? In short term, their production would be affected. Maybe in the longer term they'll manage someone else, but on the short term basis, the company will be affected, right? Yeah. So strategic partner, what are strategic partner and how do they benefit you? Organizations that work closely with each other to attain a mutual goal, right? These are strategic partners. For example, KFC was a strategic partner of Mitsubishi in Japan, I guess. Yeah, Mitsubishi Real Estate, they were basically the one who, from the name real estate, you can tell that they're the ones who allocate buildings and shops to people in Japan, to companies in Japan. So KFC, what they did was they became strategic partner with Mitsubishi Real Estate. So Mitsubishi Real Estate gave every possible perfect corner to KFC in order to establish the brand. And it was a great hit to McDonald's because they didn't do any paid partnership, any strategic partnership with any retail estate in Japan. So what happened was at every best point in Japan, KFC was there because Mitsubishi was an established retail estate in Japan, and it knew the best spots in the town. Yeah, so there's being strategic partners can benefit you to great level. Okay, then comes the labor. Labor maintains supply and demand flow of an organization, right? For example, if the demand exceeds supply, the labor cost, if the demand is more of the demand of a product, for example hand sanitizer, people are demanding more sanitizer in the industry, but at all Procter and Gamble, they are unable to supply as many Dettol's in the market as demanded. What will happen is the labor cost will increase. They have to make more product, the labor has to work extra miles, they have to go extra miles in order to complete the order, so they'll ask for more money. So you have to have a good relationship with your labor in order to make in order to manage the demand and supply flow. Okay, that is why labor unions are made, because labor knows that they impact the industry, the company at a huge level. Who is going to work if the labor is not working, if they are not making the product up to the mark? Then comes the internal, that we are done with Porter's 5 forces model. Now comes the internal environmental factors which affect the organization. These are the factors which affect the organization internally. They are from the organization, within the organization, right? So first factor affecting the organization internally are the owners of the organizations. The owners of the organization can be a single person, for example Bill Gates in terms of Microsoft, or it can be shareholders with maybe, like it has been mentioned that there are 10 billion shareholders, outstanding shares of Microsoft, but yeah, Bill Gates is the only one who's the richest man, he owns Microsoft. So yeah, owners can be individual or they can be shareholders. They have nothing to do with making the decision, they have nothing to do with profit generation or anything, they just have to at this level yeah, at the Microsoft level they have nothing to do with the profit generation and all that. So what the owners do, they just know they have this amount of money and they can use it for the betterment of the society. They can launch any, you know, campaign for the poor, anything like the rich people do, you know what I mean. Second, internal environmental factor include the board of directors, which are the people in the upper management. They are involved in decision making and maintaining the middle management. They review important decisions for the betterment of the industry, and they handle the shareholders. They tell them why you have to buy the shares. They tell them the performance of the industry. The board of directors can be from outside as well as inside the organization. The members of board of directors can be someone within the organization. It can be a very effective and a very intellectual manager which has been promoted as a board of director. He'll be sitting in the meeting of the board of directors, while it can be any successful business person from outside the organization as well, in who will be helpful in making the decision. Okay, the third party in the internal environment which affect the internal environment of an organization are the employees. Yeah, so it includes the demographics and social values of the employees, and as I have already mentioned these two in the general environmental factors, they are the same. For example, the employees, the age in terms of demographics, it can affect a company internally. Maybe for example, if an industry is having all the employees of age above 40, they are going to retire soon, so they are not that much productive for a company as compared to that as compared to that organization which has employees of age 20 and they are latest, they are updated, they know everything in the market. So yeah, it impacts the organizational output. Yeah, the young labor would be much active, much productive than as compared to the 40 plus people. Social values, you have to keep your employees happy, because you don't know, you can't, I can't predict when your company is going to be affected by any factor in which you will need your employees. You have to be flexible to them, so that in case your demand has increased and there is no supply of the product, your employees can go extra mile for you. Yeah, you have to take care of them. Okay, the last factor of the internal environment includes the culture of the organization. Organization culture impacts internal environment at a huge level. If in the organization everyone is like a family, they are behaving like flexibly and they are taking care of each other, they are good communicators, they are kind to each other professionally as well as personally. So what will happen, that in terms of any bad situation they'll be there for each other. Yeah, the culture of the organization will improve, and people will you can take an example of Google. The culture of the people working at Google, they are very, you know, they feel like home. They have a gym there, they have a school for their kids, they work on their sofas, they have like sofa seating all over the place. They can be as relaxed as they want to. It doesn't feel like a desk wali job where you have to sit and work. So you have to maintain a specific culture within an organization in order for the employees, for the company, for the managers, and everybody to feel comfortable. Yeah. So basically we are done with the internal as well as the external factors affecting a business environment. Yeah. So now I'll be telling you about the assignment which you need to submit. The first question is that you have to write a note on Porter's 5 forces model, which I have discussed with you. The second question is that you have to write the difference between task environment and general environment. General environment we did study in the last lecture, and task environment factors we did study in this lecture just now. So you have to write a difference between these two. Best of luck for that. See you in the next lecture.